If you can't take the heat, then you should not have started this fire. This is not, you know...
Maybe say you've had actions that I don't think are humane,
yeah, but she's
or
not,
I think you've contributed to death.
But when you're talking to an interviewer, you're not doing your show.
Yeah.
Hello my viewers, welcome to your favorite Hollywood celebrity updates. Please don't forget to subscribe and click the notifications bell icon for more celebrity gossip updates. Thanks for watching. We hope
rich, because the only thing in the universe that Donald Trump and Whoopi Goldberg have in common is they do have foul mouths, but have this incredible ability to turn it off when there's a camera in front of them.
Right. Whoopi shut down Alyssa's pearl-clutching talking points, calls her a crybaby. Today, we're diving into an electric moment that played out on national television and has since ignited a fiery debate across social media platforms. This time, it's a clash between two co-hosts on The View, Whoopi Goldberg and Alyssa Farah Griffin, that left audiences stunned and commentators scrambling to weigh in. The daytime talk show is no stranger to heated exchanges, but this particular incident had a different edge to it. It wasn't just a disagreement over politics or policy, it was a full-on shutdown, with Whoopi calling out Alyssa's so-called pearl-clutching talking points and, in a moment that's already gone viral, labeling her a crybaby. If you've been watching The View for any amount of time, you know that tension is part of the show's DNA. The format thrives on bringing together women with different backgrounds, ideologies, and life experiences to hash out the biggest headlines of the day. Alyssa, the former White House communications director under the Trump administration turned TV commentator, often finds herself in the minority opinion-wise. She represents the center-right voice on a panel that leans progressive, and while she's no stranger to conflict or criticism, the exchange with Whoopi was unusually intense even by The View standards. It all started during a segment on political discourse and civility, a topic that seems to crop up every few weeks, especially with the election season looming.
That's a good point where that you could say, then should the mother have to carry if it's going to threaten her?
This is why these discussions are not for the government.
The conversation began with a discussion about how political rhetoric has devolved into name-calling, tribalism, and endless outrage. Alyssa took this opportunity to express concern over what she described as the normalization of inappropriate behavior in public life. She referenced a few recent incidents involving political figures making inflammatory statements, and she argued that both sides of the political aisle need to do better. It was a familiar argument, one rooted in a call for decency, but also one that tends to draw skepticism when coming from former insiders of controversial administrations. As Alyssa continued, her tone became more impassioned. She talked about the dangers of abandoning civil discourse, about how the next generation is watching, and how the media shows like The View, in fact, have a responsibility to set a better example. The language she used was full of phrases like, "We need to hold ourselves to a higher standard," and "we can't let this kind of talk become normal." Her delivery was polished, but it also came across as moralistic to some viewers and apparently to Whoopi as well. Whoopi had been listening quietly during Alyssa's monologue, her expression mostly unreadable. But when Alyssa finally paused, Whoopi leaned forward and delivered a response that was as sharp as it was unexpected. "Girl," she said, "you've got to stop clutching your pearls every time someone raises their voice. This is The View, not a tea party." The audience reacted with a mix of laughter and gasps. Alyssa looked taken aback, clearly not expecting that level of directness. But Whoopi wasn't finished. She continued, "You keep coming on this show acting like you're shocked that people have strong opinions. That's what we do here. We talk, we debate, we disagree. You can't cry foul every time someone challenges your point of view. That's the job." The tone was firm but controlled, classic Whoopi. She wasn't yelling or grandstanding, she was laying down a boundary. Alyssa tried to respond, but Whoopi cut her off, not rudely, but with the authority of someone who's been holding court at the table for years. "No, let me finish," she said. "Because every time someone calls out something you say, you fall back on this, 'oh, we need to be more civil' routine. But sometimes civility is just a way to avoid the real conversation. And I'm tired of having to tiptoe around your feelings when the rest of us are trying to be real." That was the moment the entire studio seemed to freeze. Alyssa sat in silence, blinking rapidly, her posture rigid. The rest of the panel looked between the two women, unsure whether to jump in or let the moment play out. Sunny Hostin, usually quick to add her own perspective, stayed quiet, while Joy Behar raised her eyebrows and sipped her coffee, clearly enjoying the show. The conversation eventually moved on, but the tension lingered. Viewers at home took to social media almost instantly. Hashtags like #Whoopi vs. Alyssa and #CrybabyGate began trending on X. Some fans praised Whoopi for speaking up and defending the integrity of the show. Others felt she had been too harsh, accusing her of silencing Alyssa and reinforcing a toxic environment. But most agreed on one thing: it had been one of the most memorable showdowns in recent View history. In the days that followed, entertainment blogs, news outlets, and YouTube commentary channels all weighed in. Clips of the exchange racked up millions of views. Analysts dissected Whoopi's body language, Alyssa's tone, and the broader implications of the moment. Was Whoopi calling out hypocrisy? Was Alyssa playing the victim? Or was this just another case of strong personalities clashing in a high-pressure environment? Alyssa later addressed the incident indirectly via social media. She posted a vague but pointed message about staying true to your principles even when it's unpopular, and followed it up with a quote about the importance of respectful disagreement. She didn't mention Whoopi by name, but the implication was clear. It was her way of reclaiming a bit of dignity without fanning the flames. Whoopi, for her part, didn't offer any apologies or follow-up statements. She returned to the show the next day as if nothing had happened, laughing with the audience and jumping into the next hot topic. That's Whoopi's style: unapologetic, grounded, and focused on moving forward. To her, it wasn't personal, it was about protecting the spirit of the show. The View has always been a space for tough conversations, and in her eyes, Alyssa's approach was making it harder to have those conversations honestly. What's fascinating about this moment is how it reflects the broader cultural divide we're all navigating. On one hand, there's a desire for civility, for respectful dialogue, for avoiding the kind of toxic fights that dominate cable news. On the other hand, there's a growing recognition that civility can sometimes be used as a shield to avoid accountability. Whoopi's reaction wasn't just about Alyssa, it was about that tension, about the pressure to be polite when what's really needed is truth. And that's what makes The View such a compelling piece of daytime television. It's not just entertainment, it's a mirror. It reflects the arguments people are having at their dinner tables, in their group chats, and across social media. The show succeeds because it doesn't shy away from messiness. It leans into it, trusting that the audience can handle the discomfort. In the end, the dust will settle. Alyssa and Whoopi will likely find a way to coexist, as co-hosts on The View always do. They'll move on to the next debate, the next headline, the next moment of tension. But this exchange will stick in people's minds not because it was dramatic, but because it felt real. Two women from very different worlds, clashing not just over ideas, but over how those ideas should be expressed.